Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and welcome to a special edition of Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I'm here today to talk to you about Lilo and Stitch, the 2002 animated movie. This was Disney's 42nd animated movie, and it's one of my all-time favorites, which means if the live action doesn't live up to the animated movie, I'm gonna be pissed. Just like Aladdin and the Lion King. And so, yeah, this is a great movie. So many members of my family love this movie to the point when I used to babysit them, they made me have them watch it all day over and over and over and over again to the point where I went mad and I got rid of the DVD. And about 10 years passed later, I'm like, man, I missed this movie. So I went and rebought it again. I do miss my original copy, but the second copy is just as good. And so Lilo and Stitch was actually something that was conceived by the creator of this movie back in 1980 and stuff when he drew it for Disney, but they just didn't want to go with it. And so Chris Sanders is the one who created Stitch and voices Stitch. And it's weird knowing that this movie would have came out in the 1980s. He already had in his mind he wanted like a Hawaiian type movie, or at least a little koala blue skin type like alien thing. And so this is Disney's very first Hawaiian style type movie. I believe Disney Channel also did one with the something tsunami movies. I can't remember his name. But I never saw those. But Disney Channel is slightly different from that of Disney. And so this movie is heavily inspired by Hawaiian like culture and stuff. And it's really cool when Disney will finally, get away from their predominantly white narrative and do something differently. And so this isn't based on any type of legend or nothing like that, or no historical figure or no fairy tale. So it's cool to have an original movie. Also, this was around the time Disney was in a slump. A lot of their movies weren't performing well, and a lot of their direct-to-DVD movies sucked. So they came out with this and they struck gold. So much gold that they made tons of direct to DVD movies, about two or three. I don't like their I can't talk direct to DVD movies of Lilo and Stitch. I just don't like them. I like this movie. Then they made a television show based on the direct to DVD movies. I never watched the television show because it's similar to the directed movies, and I just on the DVD movies, and I just wasn't gonna watch it. They also made a spin-off, a Chinese version called Lilo and Ah, and or A or something like that. I don't know, but it's AI. However you say that in their country. I never saw that either. And of course, they're gonna make a live action movie, which is having a whole lot of controversy because they're not casting well for Nani, they went with a white Hawaiian instead of a more native, dark-skinned Hawaiian. And then the person who plays David, he had to get recast because he's a racist. And so they had to recast him with a new guy. And I don't understand why they would go to white. Well, I know why they went with a white Hawaiian, because they have to appeal to white people to make them happy and stuff. But stop that, Disney. Stop that. People accepted this movie for what it is. And there are other white Hawaiians in the original animated movie, so why couldn't they just play that character? But people want to see a dark-skinned, native, Hawaiian person and stuff. And so the girl who plays Lilo, she looks just like Lilo. And so hopefully she'll have that Lilo, roughness to her, you know what I'm saying? That spunkiness to her. Because if she don't, whew, that's gonna make or break the movie. Because Lilo is a spitfire of a character. The Lilo and Stitch movie is a very, very, in my opinion, emotional, tragic movie. It's about being accepted and the yearning for family. It's about being awkward and not fitting in, which is why they made the reference to the ugly duckling. Lilo and Stitch, even though they are not born from the same parents, even though they come from millions of light years away, they are essentially the same. They are outcasts in their communities. They do not have a traditional family. Lilo lost her parents when she was very young. Lilo's probably about 5 or 6 in this movie. And Stitch is, of course, an experiment, and stuff like that, an alien experiment. And so they rebel for different reasons. Lilo, like I said before, is a Spitfire. She has like a lot of like pent up rage and energy, and she rebels a lot like a teenager because she wants her parents and she's tired of her older sister acting like a mom. Lilo doesn't get along with none of her peers. All of the kids at school and in her town think she's like some type of freak. And Lilo makes her own her own doll and this and that, and she has a lot of different beliefs from them, like feeding a fish a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. In fact, it takes Lilo a full 10 minutes to even show up in the movie. And when she does, her introduction is like beautiful and stuff. Like, you see the little fish and he has a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in his mouth. And then you just see Lilo just swimming along and everything because she's late for like her hula lesson. And so Lilo just can't seem to fit in and she feels differently. And the kids hurt her feelings. Stitch is literally just an experimentation. A scientist, a mad scientist by the name of Jamba, creates him. And he creates him for the worst thing possible, to just destroy. He's super strong, super smart, super fast, and his whole ambition in life is just to destroy everything in sight. He is a monster, and he looks like one. And so, because of this, the aliens that control that sector of space want him terminated when they realize he has no compassion in his heart. He's rude, he says offensive language and stuff like that. And so, like, he is set for termination. But of course, he escapes and he heads to Earth. Now, his weakness is large bodies of water. He hates water. It will shut him down and stuff eventually. And he lands on the island in Hawaii. I remember when the trailers for this came out, I didn't know what the world of Lilo and Stitch was because they kept having all these classic Disney movies appear in the trailer, but then Stitch would show up and do something funny, like stealing, I think, Aladdin's girlfriend, Jasmine. I'm all like, oh, I gotta watch that. Not knowing what this movie's about. Then they started promoting heavily on like Elvis and Graceland because Elvis was a big part of Hawaii. And they make reference to him in the movie because Lilo is a huge Elvis fan. And then I remember 18s and Jessica Simpson started singing music for this and everything. And I'm a huge fan of both of them. And so I was really getting into this movie. And so like Stitch has to pretend to be like a dog to fit in on Earth because Jumba has been sent with Peakley to capture him and destroy him and everything. And so he doesn't like the idea of being a dog, having to hang out with this human, but he has to use her. And he still has his like very angry like characteristics. But then things start to change when he starts to see he's ruining things for Nani and that of Lilo. See, if Nani can't take care of Lilo, which she constantly leaves her at the house by herself while the stove is on and all this other stuff because she's about 19, 20, Lilo is going to be put in the foster system. And Nani does not want that. But Lilo is so much of a butthead that she doesn't realize that. And she's making things a lot more difficult. And so, like, it's a real strain on their family. And so once Lilo does start to realize that, she realizes, she has to shape up. But her and Stitch are causing too many problems for Nani and stuff as Lilo is trying to assimilate Stitch into their society. And it is remarkable how just talking about like Lilo's family, her dead parents and stuff, is really starting to change that of Stitch because he can't destroy. He's supposed to destroy big cities, but there are no big cities where they're at, and there's body of water everywhere. So his initial programming is starting to change itself. He's evolving like a machine, like an android in all those movies you see. He's kind of like Commander Data from Star Trek and everything in a way. Or the Terminator to be better fit for him and stuff. And so it's only then he starts to have compassion in his heart because he starts to understand what a family is and realize he does not have one. And so he wants to search for one. But he realized, just like in the story Lilo told him of the ugly duckling, that is him. You can't help but to watch this movie and not get choked up towards the end when Stitch starts to become human, starts to become nice, start to have compassion in his heart, starts to like cry out for like his family when he knows he doesn't have one. And especially when Jumba tells him you have no family, you're nothing but like, chemicals and organic matter like fused together and stuff. You can't really help but to feel choked up about this movie. And that's one of the great messages that, like, the emotional side that Disney has in this movie. And that's why it's so beloved. And that's one reason why I can't get into none of the spin-offs and sequels. They don't have that level of emotion and stuff. Or all that cool comedy and humor and everything. And, so that's why I really can't, like, tap into, like, the spin-offs and the sequels and everything like that. And so, like, you start to feel bad for this little monster and everything. And of course, because Pleakley and Jamba screwed up in their mission, in comes Gantu, who's a security guard, and he's a lot more ruthless. He ends up kidnapping Lilo by mistake, thinking he has Stitch. And this causes Stitch to want to rescue, like, Lilo, and of course he has to expose himself to Nani and everything, and like Jamba decides they're gonna help and everything. And it's really weird because Jamba is a mad scientist, but now Jamba has decided he's gonna be a good guy and help out and everything. And so of course they rescue her, and Stitch is now finally able to prove to like the Empress lady that he's a nice person and stuff. When he talks about like how Lilo and Nani and Jamba and Peakley are like his family and stuff like that, and and they are very taken by this. They can't understand that, wait a minute, you're like a monster, you're an abomination. How is it you have this compassion now? And it's all because of this one planet of a species they thought was inferior, because their species is on the endangered list. Because of Cobra Bubbles, the former CIA. I can't help but laugh. The former CIA dude who's like, in the foster system, who wants to take Lilo away from Nani. He said there was like, a shortage in the mosquito population, and that's because now it's on the planet's on the like endangered species list. And those aliens like believed it and stuff. And so, one thing I like about this movie is the art style. Chris explained that he wanted roundness all throughout the movie. All the characters have thickness to them. They have round heads. The energy that shoots out from like the weapons have like this like plushy look to it, like goop. Everything has a round feature to it. And so I know they're not going to be able to do that in animation. Oh, with the fire stuff they can. Like the energy blast, they'll be able to do that. But all the other stuff they won't be able to do. Now, one thing that's bugging me about this movie, the live action one, is that Lilo and Nani are supposed to be thick. They're supposed to be curved out. Very much to like a lot of native Hawaiians and that have like Samoan in them and stuff like that. The actresses they picked are your typical skinny actresses. So that kind of sucks that they don't have that heavier set vibe to them. They should have picked actresses that had weight to them. Because, a lot of women in Hawaii have weight to them and stuff. And so, like, this movie, the voice cast is pretty amazing. Tia Carrera, I did not know she was this humorous. She plays Nani. Like, she is a laugh riot, and she can sing. I never knew that. And so Jason Scott Lee, he plays David. David is the love interest of Nani. He also does hula dancing and fire dancing and stuff, and fire spitting. I'm not sure how to say her name is Dalen Chase. She voices Lilo. Now, Jason and Tia, they are Chinese born, Chinese who were Chinese people who were born in, like, Hawaii. She's the only white person, and I'm surprised they went with like a white character to voice Lilo. But she did an amazing job. Sadly, of course, she fell under that Disney Channel curse, becoming a bad girl like they all do. But supposedly she's a lot better now, so that's a good thing. Disney Channel, man, what do they do to them young kids? I swear. And yes, she's a Disney Channel and a Disney star because Lilo and Stitch had a TV series. So anyway, Michael Duncan Clark. No, not Michael Duncan Clark. Crap, what's his name? I forget, but he plays Gantu. And I hope he voices Gantu in the movies. I don't know who they're gonna get to play Gantu. I mean, he's the alien shark looking thing, so he can easily do the voice. That's one thing that's cool about this movie. All the aliens look like animals and stuff. And I really hope they make Stitch look great in CGI for the movie. Because if he looks horrendous, ooh, that's going to be another deal breaker for the movie. Happy Asian and Pacific Islander month, everybody. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.